another USB? Yeah.
I'm starting. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to IIT Kanpur. It is my pleasant duty to welcome you all to the 70th annual technical meeting of the Indian Institute of Metals. The Indian Institute of Metals, Metallurgy and Materials Engineering has been at the forefront of nation building since its inception. The Indian Institute of Metals has an annual technical program which is held every year wherein its members meet to deliberate on the state of the art in materials engineering. At the same time, it also celebrates the National Metallurgist Day function to honor its members who have made significant contributions in the field. Today, as we meet to celebrate the 70th version of the annual technical meeting, we are blessed to have Dr. G. Satish Reddy, who is an eminent aerospace scientist and presently is the scientific advisor to the Raksha Mantri as our chief guest. I would now request Professor Rajiv Shekhar, convener NMD-ATM 2016, to lead Dr. Reddy to the dais. We are also privileged to have Mr. Rajkumar Lohia, an eminent industrialist and a technocrat, as the guest of honor. I would request Professor Anish Upadhyay, Head Material Science and Engineering, to lead him to the dais. I would also request Professor Indraneel Manna, President IIM, as well as Director of IIT Kanpur, Professor A.K. Chaturvedi, Deputy Director IIT Kanpur, and Mr. S.K. Roy, the Secretary General IIM, to take their seats on the dais. Thank you, sir. I would now request Mrs. Samta Samal, our staff member at the Department of Material Science and Engineering, to offer a floral welcome to our chief guest, Dr. G. Satish Reddy. I would now request our doctoral student Reshma to offer a floral welcome to our guest of honor, Mr. Rajkumar Lohia. I would now request our undergraduate student Priya to offer a bouquet to Professor Indraneel Manna. I would now request Nivedita to offer a floral welcome to Professor A.K. Chaturvedi. I would now request Samta to hand over a floral welcome to Mr. S.K. Roy. I would request Reshma to offer a welcome to Professor Anish Upadhyay. finally, I would request Priya to offer a bouquet to Professor Rajiv Shekhar, who is the convener of NMD-ATM 2016. Thank you, everyone. I would now request all the dignitaries on the dais to light the lamp and consider and declare the ceremony as open. Please. Thank you, sir. I now request our campus school's choir for the invocation ceremony. students and madam. I now request Professor Rajiv Shekhar, convener, NMD-ATM 2016, for his introductory remarks. Professor Shekhar, please.
Amidst the great rupee crisis, I am indeed grateful to all delegates who took all the trouble to come and attend our NMD-ATM conference. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome Dr. Satish Reddy, Mr. Lohia to IIT Kanpur. This time, it's going to be the annual technical meeting is going to be a mammoth affair. We are going to have about 375 oral presentations and 350 posters, and the action will shift to the lecture hall complex after lunch. Following the inaugural session, we are going to have plenary lectures, 3 plenary lectures, and after lunch, we move to the lecture hall complex. I just wanted to state a few of my thoughts. You know, like every other Indian, we want India to be a superpower ahead of the Chinese. And a superpower, a mandatory requirement is you have to be a technology superpower. And whenever you talk of technology, materials and manufacturing plays a major role. In fact, my dream is that one day we will be able to make car engines which are superior to Toyota, or we can come up with our own first renewable and completely renewable energy blast furnace. Now, there are only 2 ways of research now. One, we either fulfill the needs of the country and make the Make in India campaign a success, or we devise a research strategy so within the next 10 years, we are the numero uno in different technology areas. And I think IIM can play a major role in this. As far as the future is concerned, IIM can play the role of a think tank which provides a lead, which provides an insight into the evolving technology. The other aspect which IIM can play a major role is in small and medium enterprises. Small and medium enterprises, in a way, is a neglected sector of the Indian economy. Most of the jobs are in the SMEs, and the need is to make the SMEs competitive in the national as well as global scale. So, IIM can play a major role in terms of mentoring these SMEs. And finally, I would especially like to welcome all my young faculty and the students who are the future of a super India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Shekhar, for your nice comments. I now request Mr. S.K. Roy, Secretary General, IIM, for his introductory remarks.
Good morning. Thank you, Nilesh. Dr. Reddy, Mr. Lohia, Dr. Manna, Dr. Chaturvedi, Dr. Anis, Dr. Rajiv, friends from media, if any, ladies and gentlemen, seniors and younger ones. I extend a very hearty welcome to all of you at the 70th Annual Technical Meeting of the Indian Institute of Metals. I was wondering, sitting on the dais, what do I say? Do I inform you that we were born in 1947 with only 42 members, and today we are 11,000 members. We are a professional body. Today we are embracing all aspects of technology and material science. As I said, we are 70 years old, but we don't feel that we are old. We feel we are young and we have to cover a lot of road ahead, which is left for the youngsters to move. We are an organization who have signed MOU with 18 overseas societies and institutions, and we are a member or an associate with World State Association. We coordinate with the Government of India for the National Metallurgist Celebration and the distribution of National Metallurgist Award. As you all know, every year we felicitate deserving metallurgists at the IIM award function. We have been published, we have lots of publication, sorry, we have lots of publication, even we have published book series which are very popular and well in demand. Our in-house magazine, Metal News, is in demand, and the Trans IIM is well received all over the world. We have been organizing memorial lectures as well as special lectures. We have been organizing conferences, seminars, workshops all over India. We have 52 chapters spread all over India, and the latest one is at Goa. We have our own building, and we have a well-equipped library. But I was wondering, did you want to know all this, or you wanted to know what is the future ahead? I thought I will just touch upon what we are planning or what we are doing just now and leave it to Professor Manna, who will be deliberating on our future plan more elaborately. We are in the process of developing a directory of experts for the industries, the MSMEs that Rajiv touched upon, and also for the Government of India or state government industrial sector who want consultation from the experts. We are planning to switch over to the latest technological mode of communication and do away with lots of traveling and paper transfer through post and courier. I repeat, I'm sure Professor Manna will be covering these in detail, and without taking much of time, I welcome you once again and expect that your stay over the next 4 days are very fruitful and you get involved in the deliberation, and there is a lot of cross-learning. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Roy, for your brief address about IIM to the audience. I would now request Professor Indranil Manna, President, IIM, to address the gathering. Professor Manna, please.
Dr. Satish Reddy, Dr. Raj Lohia, rest of the dignitaries seated on the dais, former presidents of IIM, members of the council, and members of different categories of Indian Institute of Metals, delegates, invited speakers, keynote addresses, plenary speakers, my own colleagues from this institute, and friends. A very good morning to all of you. On behalf of Indian Institute of Metals, on behalf of IIT Kanpur, and on my personal behalf, it's my proud privilege to accord you a very, very warm welcome. You just heard Indian Institute of Metals was actually born a year ahead of India's independence, 1946. Started with hardly 42 members, led by the first president of IIM, Mr. J.J. Gandhi. From 42 members and head office in Calcutta, Indian Institute of Metals today is close to 12,000 member strong body, spread across the country in 53 chapters, having activities touching almost all sectors of metals and materials, and not just confined to steel industry. At the very beginning, the mandate was to create a platform where the industrial houses can come together and interact with academia and research organizations. The basic objective remains the same, that Indian Institute of Metals is the platform to give to the youngsters as well as to the industry peers and academic leaders to come and interact. But with a difference. Today, IIM is a major stakeholder in making policies for the country to forge ahead, not only in metal extraction and processing, but also creating viable technologies. Annual Technical Meeting, ATM in brief, is actually the annual conference of the Indian Institute of Metals, and hence the most important activity of this institute. Some of you troubled with this monetary or demonetization crisis may have complaints against ATM, the cash dispensing machine, but certainly would not have anything against this particular ATM, which is happening the 70th time. We expect about 600 delegates to participate in this ATM, with about 372 oral presentations going to be made across 75 parallel sessions spread in 10 different halls. This ATM is bound to make an impact. For a change, we decided to do away with separate international event. In fact, I'll touch upon that in a minute as to why we decided that. But most importantly, we wish this ATM to provide a platform to young researchers, scholars, even students, to come and have an opportunity to present before the peers. So 372 oral presentation is certainly a watershed. In addition, we expect 300 to 350 poster presentations, about 100 metallography entries, and we have organized an exhibition where I'm told more than 25 different companies and industries, even agencies would participate. For a change, this time it's not just Ministry of Steel, even Human Resource Development Ministry also has come forward. And aptly so, because after all, the host is an IIT. Let me also mention and take pride in saying that IIT Kanpur is hosting NMD-ATM not for the first time, but third time. The first occasion was 1967, when Dr. M.N. Dastur, late Dr. M.N. Dastur, took over as the president of IIM. 1999 was the second occasion when Professor S. Ranganathan was the president of IIM, and this is the third time. For an institute like ours, this is nothing new that we would hold conferences. But a conference of this magnitude with limited infrastructure that we have is not an easy task. So if some of you face inconvenience in terms of accommodation or certain other logistics, we can only assure you that we would try to make up all the deficiencies through our warmth and hospitality. Let me tell you, this institution has a distinction which is very well known not only in this country but the world over. Founded in 1959, this happens to be the fourth oldest among the chain of IITs. We exist on a piece of land which spreads about 1,050 acres with 14 departments and 5 other interdisciplinary programs. At the campus, we have about 6,500 students, 410 faculty members, running various programs at undergraduate, postgraduate, and doctoral levels. This institute takes pride in claiming that we were the first one to pioneer the computer science discipline, and also true that the first material science organized program started in this very campus. We host the largest wind tunnel facility in academic setup. We have the best supercomputing and high-performance computing facility in the campus. And the 3 areas where this institute, like most of the other IITs, have made a huge difference, obviously are the kind of education that we offer at engineering and technology space, the kind of research we perform and publish, and obviously the students and products that we have created in our history of 57 years. But this institute, like all other major institutions in the country today, is extremely keen to make a difference and impact in the technology space. We would like to see translation of knowledge into products. And it is for this reason, not just IIT Kanpur, but the whole country, Government of India today is keen in the same direction. You would have heard of a national initiative called Impacting Research, Innovation and Technology, acronymed IMPRINT, a similar initiative called Uchchatar Avishkar Yojana, where industry is supposed to participate with 25% cash contribution. So when you walk into the exhibition hall, you'll find a stall of Ministry of Human Resource Development, who have given us a very generous support and are very keen to involve all the members of IIM and delegates to ATM and NMD, that they should apprise themselves of the major national initiatives towards technology development, be it Imprint, UAY, Swayam, or many other such initiatives. It is time that we as a country, we as members of the learned society, realize that we'll not be a superpower just by claiming that we want to be a superpower. We have to be self-reliant. And it is for this reason, the main objective of ATM and NMD this time is towards self-reliance. As you all know, that engineering is all about finding a solution, while science is all about fundamentals. So the Honorable Prime Minister, while launching Imprint, made a comment which has a far-reaching consequence. He said, science is universal, but technology must address to the local needs. So this is where we have to realize as a learned community that time has come when academia will continue to pursue fundamental research, whereas industry would talk about the needs of right today. But this is time when we should talk to each other in a meaningful way. This is also time when the strategic sectors of Government of India must realize that no matter what we design or plan to achieve, eventually the success of a machine or a component depends on the performance of the hardware, the materials. And this is where Indian Institute of Metals now has to play a very major role. I must say that the society, the Indian Institute of Metals, with a history of 70 years, having a membership of 12,000 is certainly not a good commentary. So the future of Indian Institute of Metals lies in several objectives to be achieved. Number one, the membership should increase by manyfold. Number two, we must talk and synergize with other professional bodies who are pursuing similar goal. There's no reason as to why ceramic society or semiconductor society cannot be on the same platform as IIM. IIM needs to connect to the membership. 53 chapters should be available, should be accessible from the headquarters by the simple click of a mouse. We are trying to make that connection, but the progress is not satisfactory. So Indian Institute of Metals, in the next few months, would make a very valiant effort to reach out to every single member and every single chapter through whatever initiative needed. We have decided to make the council slimmer and more efficient and create certain other layers of administration which will go through the usual sanction or usual scrutiny of the council and eventually take place. We would like to give due legitimacy to the associate membership of Indian Institute of Metals through proper accreditation, which is now under consideration. We would like to create a postgraduate diploma, and we would like to create a new tradition of having a separate international conference somewhere in the middle of the year, every year after the NMD-ATM. So let NMD-ATM cater to the entire nation and the youngsters and researchers who are keen to make a difference, and the international event can follow separately. This is a very difficult time as far as organizing a conference is concerned. The industries are not really in the pink of their health, and we faced enormous uphill task for raising the bare minimum financial resources needed to organize this event. So I'll be failing in my duty if I do not record our deepest appreciation to all those platinum, diamond, gold, and silver, and all other sponsors, even those who contributed to our souvenir accommodation facilities, but our volunteers who have been working, and my own colleagues of the Material Science Engineering Department who have been working tirelessly for the last few months, would make sure that eventually you all go happy, you go back home happy with a very fruitful memory of this conference. As I said, it is time that conferences lead to a meaningful conclusion. So these 3 days of deliberations through oral, poster, metallography contest, plenary speeches, keynotes, and invited talks, we essentially should try to converge on certain doables, certain action points. And that would be the main focus. And that can be achieved only when all of you take very active role. You're in an academic setup which is devoid of hierarchy. And in a learned society, hierarchy is only by mutual respect. So this is exactly what should be our motto in the next few days, to figure out where lies the opportunity and where are the challenges. To come back once more to imprint, I must say that this is an opportunity which actually the country slowly will realize and seize upon. Never before we talked about the entire engineering space in one shot. And never before we addressed all the engineering challenges and divided them into domains and themes and topics and targets. This is only to allow us to realize that research essentially will bear fruit and create solution in engineering space. Let IIM NMD-ATM 2016 facilitate that. Let us move forward hand in hand and create viable technological solutions for tomorrow, particularly in the metallurgical and materials field. So friends, welcome you all to this event. I would personally thank again Dr. Satish Reddy, who has come despite his very, very busy schedule. I would also thank Mr. Lohia. I would profusely thank all of you who have come to participate in NMD-ATM in this campus. And this campus has a lot to offer. So I would request all of you, if you get time, to kindly move around and then interact with our faculty colleagues and scholars and students here. The only difficulty that you may face is that the exam is round the corner, and this is an interlude between the classes ending and the exams beginning. So you may not find many students moving all over the places, but facilities are open. So if you feel like, please walk in and interact with them. So thank you very much for coming here, and let's look forward to a very, very fruitful interaction during NMD-ATM 2016. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words. We are pleased to have with us Dr. Satish Reddy, Scientific Advisor to the Raksha Mantri, as the chief guest. Dr. Reddy is the Director General of Missiles and Strategic System, and earlier he served as the Director of the Research Center Imarat, a key laboratory by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam in the missile complex at the Defense Research Development Organization. Dr. Reddy procured many technological developments for the Indian missiles and has made significant contributions towards successful flight testing of the country's maiden intercontinental ballistic missile Agni 5. Dr. Reddy has a career filled with great recognitions and achievements. Dr. Reddy is the first Indian to be a fellow of the Royal Institute of Navigation in London. He is a fellow of the Royal Astrological Society, a prominent member, or rather a foreign member of the Academy of Navigation and Motion Control, Russia, a fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, and an honorary fellow of the Computer Society of India. The scale and impact of Dr. Reddy's contributions to navigation and avionics technologies and the development of critical technologies for self-reliance of nation is outstanding and is in sync with the theme of the conference. Most importantly, he has inspired and still continues to inspire engineering practitioners to dedicate themselves to the applications of engineering for societal benefits as well as for the greater benefit of humanity. It is indeed a matter of great pleasure for us to have Dr. Satish Reddy with us, and I would now request him to address the gathering.
Very good morning. Dr. Manna, Director, IIT Kanpur, Mr. Lohia, the professors and dignitaries on the dais, the former presidents, I am, my colleague Director, DMSRD Kanpur, Dr. Ishwar Prasad, other scientists from DRDO who are present here from various laboratories, the professors, industrialists, students across the country, probably few from abroad who are present here. Once again, very good morning to all of you. At the outset, let me thank Dr. Manna, who invited me to be here amongst you, particularly to have an interaction with the IIT Kanpur. It's a long time I have visited this institute here. Today morning I had some time I visited a couple of departments. After this meeting again I'll be going through a couple of other departments. And then particularly or very importantly interacting with all of you who are the most important people for the country today, who needs to take this country forward. I think as said in the beginning, in the introduction, for any country which is progressing ahead, if the country wants to be, I think that Dr. Manna was mentioning, instead of saying a superpower, to be self-reliant, and probably later, if not superpower, make it yourself a powerful nation. The materials play a very, very important role. Rather, I think that is a fundamental for any country to be powerful. First, you need to be powerful in the materials, and then only you can be powerful in anything. That's what I definitely feel, even though I'm not a material scientist or an engineer. Basically, I'm a electronics and communications engineer background with avionics as my, or missiles as my background. But then, what I have gone through in the last 30 years in DRDO, going through various phases of self-reliance and work what we have done, I think materials play a very, very important role, not just in the strategic departments alone, for the entire country. Particularly when we look at the requirements of materials for the strategic departments, most of the materials we have been importing, most of the materials. Rather, some of the materials which we have indigenized or indigenously developed some of the materials, utility also has been very poor. The reasons which I'll be talking about it little later. So the industry also was not getting much benefited out of it. Rather, you take any area, you want to establish in that particular area a production center or whatever it is, and particularly for this type of departments, large infrastructure, large funding required. But then when you look at the business, is not commensurate with the type of funding what it is required. So it goes into the hands of, again, government. Government needs to fund it, and so government buys it. This is how it has been most of those materials what we have been seeing. Today, look at it, many things which are supposed to be coming up also probably, I don't know whether when they will come up and whatever it is. Mithani, we have Misra Dhatu Nigam Limited for producing some of the materials. Then some other institutes we have established also. But there are many need to be established, and many are getting closed down also. Like you look at it, KMML, today in the tungsten area, has been producing some, but then the type of imports what we have today, the cost comparativeness or cost competitiveness what we have today, unable to stand in the market today. What we have established, a carbon fibers plant in Gujarat, for various reasons, non-operational today. Most important, very important carbon fibers which are required for the strategic departments today is not operational today. Likewise, many. Today, if we have to establish a plant in aluminum lithium area, more than about probably 200-250 crores investment is required. Most importantly, probably the Department of Space is the main customer for it. Again, looking for partners in the government sector itself, trying to establish and trying to have it. So this is how it looks like. But then, strategic needs of the country, when you look at it, you cannot look it in a commercial way at the product. The government definitely should look at it and should invest into those, and don't look at whether I'm going to get this is 250 crores back, or I'm going to get what is the profit the company is going to make, and things like that. Very, very important. Today, look at the ceramics particularly. We are still struggling to make a radome. The type of radome what you need, the type of thermostructural environment what the radome has to pass through, the temperatures of anything from 300 degrees to probably 700 degrees, 800 degrees, and the type of loads what are coming. One is material. Second is the processing or manufacturing technology, which is again a very, very, very important area what we need to concentrate. I think definitely the materials and the manufacturing go together, definitely. They have to go together. So one is the materials in the radome, and then the manufacturing technology, what we need to have. Similarly, in many other areas, today you take mirrors, optical side, the coatings what you require, the thin film coatings. Again, it's an area where we are struggling. Couple of people are only working in the area, and then need to establish many of the things. Today, when you talk about the navigation system for an aircraft or for a submarine or a ship or a missile, the most important thing, the ring laser gyroscope, when you look for, the mirrors, the type of polish what you need, the type of coatings what you need, struggling in the country what we look for. So, similarly, you look at, I'm looking for a sapphire material for making some hemispherical dome, a small size which gives a Q factor of about 10 power 7 or so. Neither the material you have, nor the machining technologies you have in the country. Again, the type of stresses, stress-free machining what you need to do. So this is a very, very important area. Actually, probably when you say Indian Institute of Metals, I think now the metals definitely, I think again Dr. Manna mentioned again, the area is expanding a lot. You are into ceramics, you are into composites and whatnot, other materials. I don't know, probably you can definitely consider maybe calling it as IIM, Indian Institute of Materials, probably, and looking into the whole area of the materials. In fact, since I took over as scientific advisor to Raksha Mantri, particularly Raksha Mantri, Mr. Manohar Parrikar, you know, he himself is a metallurgist. He is from IIT Mumbai, man who knows, who has a lot of knowledge in the materials. So I've been talking to him since last 2015 August onwards, that the country as a whole, we need to look at holistically, what is our next move? What is our policy? What should we do in the next probably 5 years, 15 years, 25 to 30 years, or maybe very long term, 50 to 100 years also. And there are various groups in the country who are working on varieties of areas in their own way, probably many times doing the same work also, repeating the same work also. And then collectively as a country, at least for some of the strategic materials, we don't have a long-term, short-term and plan what we need to do. I've been impressing upon him, and definitely he knows, as he's one man actually who is as a minister probably, even though we are scientists, with him we are very careful. One thing is grasping of each and everything is very fast. Of course, in the metallurgy area, definitely we have to be careful. He is from IIT Mumbai metallurgist. Then he has a tremendous memory capacity. Actually, I don't think with any minister, anybody would have been so much careful. He is a man who reads each and every sentence in a file. And so people who have been taking only about 1 hour to make a file, now people take about 4 days or so to make a file and send it to him very, very carefully. And another important thing is he has a memory. Normally people remember memory, good memory people who have, they remember the incidences, they remember the names and things like that. He remembers numbers. This is another important thing. He has a tremendous quality. So then such a type of a man who is there, who is understanding everything, what needs to be done. In fact, last year, October, there was a meeting conducted in his office. Most of the materials related scientists or organizations have been called for that meeting, and then there were deliberations for about 3 hours or 4 hours there in his office. Then thought, why not we have a material policy in the country for the strategic departments? So then later in the month of December, he has actually formed a committee with Dr. Baldev Raj as the chairman of the committee, and then Dr. Amul Gokhale, Professor Amul Gokhale, and Dr. Narayan Rao, who was the former CMD Medani, and then Director DMRL, VSSC Ram Kumar, and Day from DAE, and many others who participating. In fact, the former director IRL was also there in that meeting, who is present here, and a lot of deliberations, and the committee was formed. And then the committee had deliberations almost about 7 to 8 months, and then drafted a policy, which actually just yesterday was that meeting, where they submitted this report to the draft policy to the Honorable Raksha Mantri. Then had again about 3 hours meeting there in his office, gave the total detailed presentation. In fact, Dr. Baldev was saying that he will be coming here. In fact, I don't know whether he has come here or not. And a lot of details have gone through it. And Raksha Mantri was so curious. In fact, many others attended, Deputy NSA. NSA was also supposed to be present, but his flight to Japan got preponed, so he couldn't come. But then Deputy NSA has sent, a lot of interest in that. In fact, you can imagine when I met NSA about last time meeting, he was talking about Satish, we have he was showing specifically interest in rare earths. We need to look into it, and he came for that meeting when we had in October meeting. He sat through all the 3 hours meeting, and then he has gone through NSA himself also. So that is the type of importance has been given. And then yesterday, Raksha Mantri has given a lot more directions how to execute. See, you have drafted a policy, but it is we are very good in drafting policies and making documents, but then how to implement it is the most important thing. So Raksha Mantri was talking for almost half an hour how to get this implemented, what are the mechanisms, how to create the mechanisms and everything. And he told the committee, I give you another about 1.5 months time, then come out with a working mechanism which can be given, the policy can be submitted to the cabinet, and cabinet come out with many of these things. So this is an important development. I request IIM in the next probably 1 month, further if you have any inputs, please provide it to this committee, Dr. Baldev Raj. It will be submitted in the month of December, second half of December to the Raksha Mantri, and then it will move to the cabinet. Probably out of that, we'll be able to come out with many centers of for specific areas, and establishing many of plants for producing certain specific materials, whatever are required. In fact, Raksha Mantri was saying when they have put about 7 or 8 centers in specific areas, he was saying that the centers has become a very common name, even though it doesn't mean what name you have, but then it should also create a feeling to the people. And he was saying that why don't you change it as mission of a particular material, whatever it is, instead of saying just centers. So that is the importance what is given by the government also today. Probably by next year, we will be able to see some of these coming into the force. The second important is, again, we all look into it, is this committee, when I say that, this committee is supposed to be looking into many things. Today, what are the requirements? What are the immediate requirements? What are the requirements in the future? Maybe 15 years, 25 years, or 30 years, and things like that. And also suggest, look into what are the natural resources you have, what are the processing technologies you need, and what are the equipment you need to look into it, and what are the friendly nations what you have, and can you have acquisition of mines in those countries by us, and also in some specific materials what you don't have, do you need to stockpile? And these are all the things what the committee will look into it. So IIM definitely should participate in that and then give their inputs. You being the 70 years old institute, you definitely should participate in this policy making. Then, as I said, the second is very important is the manufacturing side. We again today we should look into the manufacturing of many areas, in many areas. In fact, this year's January, there was a workshop in Vigyan Bhavan on innovative manufacturing. This is one area where we need to definitely look into it. A country like US, In fact, for that workshop, the advisor to Obama on innovative manufacturing also came and participated. A country like US thought that the country should establish innovative manufacturing institutes in about 32 to 48 areas. 32 to 48 areas, innovative manufacturing institutes with a public-private partnership model should be establishing, and should look into those areas, how to manufacture in these areas, and that's an important area what we need to look into it. Example today, when we say additive manufacturing or 3D printing, when we say that, we need to gear up with many things. In a sense, first of all, the machinery. Machinery, are we going to still import the way we have been importing 3-axis machines, 5-axis machines, 7-axis machines, or we are going to make them in the country? I think recently, about a month back or so, there was a conference on additive manufacturing in Bangalore, where many people came, and one of the important persons in USA who is into it, who is manufacturing the machines, is an Indian by name Verma. In fact, 3D printing or additive manufacturing is no more for a small item, or the size is not a limitation. The size can be as big as into meters today. So this is one area. Then if you look into that, then how we are getting into the additive manufacturing, we need to look into it, and then what is the type of input material, raw material what you need to look into it also is an important thing. So probably in the next couple of years, it's going to be a very important development. So we need to gear up for all those activities. Unless you gear up, again you start importing right from raw material to the machines to processing or getting trained and everything. So this is another important area where we definitely should look into it. For all these things, when we say, most important thing becomes is the various stakeholders in the whole process, which I feel about 3 or 4 constituents: the academic institutes, the R&D institutes like DRDO or ISRO or Atomic Energy or various other organizations, probably to some extent the DPSUs, and the industry. Everyone has to play their own role into it. Particularly when I say that the role-wise, the academic institutes, when I say the role-wise, each one I'll tell you. The academic institutes should have at least about 30 to 40% of their work into the basic research. Basic research should be the component, and probably remaining area can be between applied research or into the development, development of some of the products and things like that. Then when it comes to the R&D organizations like us, we should be doing at least about 30% work on applied research, and maybe about 20% on translational research, and then about 30% development, and remaining about 15 to 20% we can't help it. We have to be in the production, limited series production, prototype development, or product upgradations and whatnot and all that we can't help it. Coming to the industry, it just cannot be. The industry has been in India primarily till about 5 years back, definitely, or 10 years back, they had been mere suppliers. The scenario is changing. There are no more suppliers, and they're able to get into BTP or BTS and BTR and things like that, like build to print in some of those offsets what we have, and then build to specifications they're able to get. They're doing some amount of development, definitely. So they got into some amount of development. But the model should be, the industry should definitely have an R&D in a collaboration with an academic institute or whatever it is, or incubation centers, what academic institutes have. You should do R&D in a niche area. There are many industries which have come today, R&D, which they have done a good amount of R&D in niche areas, and then also definitely for the industries to survive, maybe about 80% of your work should be production, making large numbers, quantities, and then supplying. Unless the industry also does this 15 to 20% of R&D in the niche areas, it's very difficult for the country to survive just on the government institutes to do the entire gamut of research both either institutes like IITs or the R&D organizations is very, very difficult. There are many companies who have come in the country now today who are getting into it. Example, a company in the Bangalore who have done deep-rooted research into the satellite receivers, satellite navigation receivers. They're the company who are supplying all over the world. They are certified, FII certified, and then they're able to give it to even USA, most of their receivers, leaving aside the production to our people. So this is one area where we need to look into it. So this is the model, these three consciences, what we should do. But of course, we have another element in this country is the PSUs, the public sector units. The public sector units should definitely have, I'm talking about most of the production units like HAL or Bharat Electronics Limited or ECIL and things like that, or BHEL. They should definitely have about 30% of the, or 40% maybe development, and then remaining they need to do a production. Particularly production in the area is in the large systems. You should not be entering into the small systems where a MSME can do it. So these systems, these people should be able to offload these type of work to the industry, MSMEs, and you become the large integrators or production of large systems or where you need large infrastructure, where a large amount of funding is required. So this is the model what you need to look into it. Today when Akash missile is being produced, when the BDL has about 22,000 crores of orders for the Akash missiles today, 83% of the total value is coming from the industries today, private industries, 83%. So the name what we are talking about today for BDL is, BDL has become the lead integrator. So that is the type of model what you need to have in the country for all these four elements in the need to survive or need to work in that model, then only we'll be able to execute. But then I feel the interaction what particularly DRDO had with academic institutes over the last 20 years or so, I feel it is thinned down. Morning I was telling to a director here that it has broadened. There's no doubt about it, it's broadened, but it has thinned down. For various reasons could be. One thing is that IITs also have become very busy. They're also into many projects. They're also getting projects from various organizations. Maybe you are getting projects from abroad also, which are higher value. This is one thing. So you don't have wherewithal to take up so many projects today. Particularly, probably you don't have also, you're not getting people who are also getting into deep-rooted research like this. Probably other way around is, probably we DRDO also has to, we have to change ourselves that when a professor approaches or when you go to an institute, a professor comes out with an idea that he comes out with an idea, then you have to give a project to him. You should be very quick in giving the project. You can't take about a year to give a project and then you expect the professor to have the same enthusiasm what he had 1 year back. It's impossible that anybody have the same amount of enthusiasm what you when he has an idea comes out. So this is a very important thing. Second thing is also you should be in research. I think we need to be little more liberal. We can't be going what we have been doing about 10 years back, 15 years back, giving only very limited and going into getting into the details and then ask them to submit every month a bill and then the fund comes after 2 months after you submitting the bill and all that. We should come out of this and we should find the simpler mechanisms to work with the IITs. See, the professor should not get fed up with the bureaucracy or the delays or dealing with many people and struggling for non-technical things when he is dealing with a subject. This is a very important thing what DRDO or other government organizations should ensure when we are dealing with. This is an important area. But then when we are working in the areas, I say one thing. We have been technology followers mostly. What I mean to say is, in fact, let me tell you my problem today, what we have with the services. When you talk about a product or a technology, services have to give you the PSQRs or GSQRs. What happens when he is looking for a particular equipment or defense equipment or arm or ammunition, whatever it is, what he does is, what is the contemporary things which are available in the world, he looks at it. So when you look at it, a product, details of a product comes out only after the product getting into the services. Maybe about 3 to 4 years later, you will get the little details of that product or that equipment, and you look at that and the specifications, whatnot and all that. Then you start framing your ideas. So you generate that of a product which has come into the services or has come into the uses, which is about 3 to 4 years back. So you give it to DRDO. Then DRDO, for that, you need to develop certain technologies. So approach the academic institutes and various other people, and then you need about 6 to 7 years at least for that product to get into it and develop, do the developmental trials, then the do the deliverables or the user trials and all that. And so probably about 8 years later to that, 8 years is a very optimistic period, you will be giving it to services. Effectively, it's about 12 years after that product coming into the picture, you are trying to give it to the product, which to the services. By the time, another product would have come in there, which is a better version of this. The services who have given you 8 years back this product, you will be losing interest. Quite natural. I am not trying to blame them at all. So the person who has worked in the DRDO side or academic institute side who has worked with you for this product, because of the interest what he lost there, you will be getting fed up with that. So what I say here is, one is, definitely you need to have, you need to be a technology follower, there is no doubt about it, you need to do. There are some of the basic things which you need, some minimal things you need to do, you do it. But then, let us think little out of box, let us estimate or let us think in the future, what are the technologies which come after next 10 years, let's say. This need not be what is some work which is going on in the West or wherever it is. You think yourself what are the areas what are coming up. Let us start doing research in those areas today. And when you come out after 10 years or 12 years or 15 years, a product out of these technologies what you thought, either you will be a contemporary to the technologies or equipment which is coming from outside, or you may be first of your kind, and then you will be able to come out with a product, first of the kind product, or the state-of-the-art product. That is the time when services will have a lot of interest in your product. You don't have to struggle with them to make the product accept. This is number one. Second most important thing is, you will be able to sell your product all over the world. Today, we have a problem, particularly with the industry today. The industry is facing a severe problem. We have been talking about two things, self-reliance, or we need to produce our products in the country. Because we have not thought about the next step, we think about it, we should produce. When the industry which is started producing for the domestic market, it is in very short time, it is finding itself that just it is not sufficient, this domestic market, what is there available today. It just cannot survive with this market. So most important thing is, unless otherwise we export our products, we will not be able to survive today. Let us just talk about some of the materials what we have developed in the country itself. I'm again come back to the materials. The DMR 249, a material what has been developed for most of the shipbuilding and all that. The SAIL or whoever it is who is producing, do you have the sufficient market in the country to produce those DMR 249 today? No. So at the one time, SAIL has stopped producing it. So when the Navy went for building a ship of its own, so they had to think about floating a global tender. And finally, the global tender, the order went to somebody else outside the country. You have developed a product, and then you are seeing that same for the same product. In fact, what is mentioned in the specification is DMR 249 or equivalent. But then it has gone to somebody else who is giving a equivalent material. Let's say today we talk about maritime steel. Again, DMR will develop a product called DMR 1700, a steel which has equivalent characteristics and properties, but then, and the cost of it is about 1/5 to 1/6. And TOT you have given to SR, Just yesterday they have written a letter to RM, that's how I'm remembering this very well. Yesterday morning he has given me. And he is saying that he doesn't have the market here in the country, primarily because you are developed and primarily for the missiles. And most of the missiles have become composite rocket motors today. You don't have much of a market. And other missiles, you are using some other materials and things like that. And there are some welding problems for there. And the welding problems have been sorted about 1 year. And the process is not stabilized. And that welding problem, what was there, which is also resolved, is there in the mind of a project director. And the project director doesn't want to take any risk. I don't know whether it's really solved or not. He goes back to the managing steel wherever it is required also. So that fellow is crying today. So this is the type of a phenomenon what we have. So you need to look into the market also, whether the domestic market and also international market, and then make these products and technologies. Unless we produce, the industry cannot survive. This is an important thing what I want to tell you. Today we have been thinking that we should make it in the country and all that, but the country's market alone will not be sufficient for you today. When we say about today, we are talking about aircrafts we should make, our own aircrafts we should have in the country and whatnot and all that. You think that what 100 or 150 aircrafts, what Air Force requires, you make such a large infrastructure and remain with yourself here and then making that. What do you do next? Aircraft manufacturing, you require about 10,000 engineers in the country to make it and such an infrastructure, and then you just be satisfied with what you have done into the country. So you have to sell it all over the world. Today F-16 or F-18, so many they have produced, they are also thinking of coming to India and producing here in the country. So these are the things what we need to look at various things, and we need to come out with models what we need to do, and particularly with the industry. As I said, industry, it's one more important thing. Actually, industry particularly, we keep talking about industry when you give the quality is not coming out, the quality department is not very good and things like that and all that. Somewhere it may be true, somewhere it may not be true also. But unless the industry competes with the international market, you will not get what you want. When he competes with the international market, he knows how to make a product with a competitive price and quality, and particularly with a sustained quality. This is the most important thing. We are very good in making the first few products, first few numbers very good, and later the quality comes down. So most important thing is you need to have a sustained quality. You will have a sustained quality when you have an international market, definitely completely looking for those type of competitiveness and all that. And second, also when we have industries, one more industry, I keep saying that we need to have some amount of maturity. One more step in the materials what we have done, let me tell you, a very important thing. For these products which are coming from abroad, particularly from China, where the domestically developed products or developed industries are not able to survive out of the price competitiveness or whatever it is. Particularly, I think the former director IRL will agree with me. Many of the magnets, like today I want a samarium cobalt magnet, they are dumping from that side, and titanium they are dumping. Tungsten is coming from various people. The price of the titanium is falling down, and samarium cobalt like magnets and all that we don't have today. So for the industry to survive here, again government needs to look into it to support them. So one step what again we have worked out is the government. So in the strategic materials and where completely indigenously material is developed, we give a price incentive with respect to the competitiveness what you have with an international industry which is participate in the tender. You can give a price incentive to the domestic industry what has developed this product, and then you will be able to give, it need not be on L1 alone. You can give additional pricing. But then here industry has to also show a maturity. Then just because you have started giving this incentive to him, everybody should not hike his price and then make it that I am getting a government from that. So a couple of times what happens is there will be a small product or small area where one industry starts producing, and then he finds that market is very good. Immediately there will be 4 or 5 industries will be coming into that area. And then the manpower, skilled manpower available will be about only 10 or 15 people available, and you start taking away from the industry. Within next 2 to 3 years, all the 4 industries will be down. This is one area where I have seen in the RF area particularly. So this is where we need to show maturity. We should select our own area. We should concentrate on that area. Don't look for that and then go get into other mechanisms and things like that. And finally, the last point, what very important is the academic institutes and students getting into this area. This is a very important area. But then we need to look at a top level and try to create many mechanisms for students to get interested into it. I think last year I went to NIT Warangal, which had a very strong metallurgy department. There were 40 students in the metallurgy department. So when they came out of the institute, 38 have joined IT industry. 38 out of 40 metallurgy students who were there in that institute. So naturally, what is the interest the student has in the core area where he has come from? We cannot blame him, but then we should show the opportunities also. For us to show opportunities, again, the cycle is the same. We need to invent, we need to make, we need to develop new products, new materials, and then we need to establish many more industries here, and the industry should be supplying not only to the domestic market outside, then only the jobs will be created, and then the interest created, more and more students also will be joining into the area. The first step in this, I feel, lies with primarily from the government and the government institutes like us, where we should start giving liberally and in many areas, many projects. So the research starts, the research associates, the student starts working in these products, and many things may come out, and industries start establishing out of those products, and that's how I think the whole area will be grooming up. So this is what I thought. So finally, what I say is, as a whole country, we need to look into all these things, and we should come out with models and mechanisms, whatever we are able to do from MOD, particularly for the strategic departments we are doing. And conferences like this, where you people, you are the experts, you are sitting here, should deliberate, come out with those models and support and give these models to the government for implementation. I generally say that many times conferences happen for the sake of conference. And when you the conference is over, the conference and everything is over. You shouldn't be like that. We should definitely generate an action plan. And in the next conference, the first agenda should be the review of the action points of the last conference. And then see what we have done and what should be the next step for the next year, and evolve out of it and generate a mechanism for this conference to be fruitful. Once again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. I now request Professor Indranil Manna, President, Indian Institute of Metals and Director, IIT Kanpur, to present a memento to our chief guest, Dr. Reddy. I now request Professor A.K. Chaturvedi, Deputy Director, IIT Kanpur, to present a memento to our guest of honor, Mr. Rajkumar Lohia. Finally, I call upon Professor Anish Upadhyay, Chairman, Local Organizing Committee, as well as Head of the Department of Material Science and Engineering, to present the vote of thanks.
Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. K. Satish Reddy, distinguished guests of honor, Shri R.K. Lohia, esteemed dignitaries on the dais, delegates from India and abroad, students, members of press, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a matter of great pride and privilege for me to welcome you all for the 70th Annual Technical Meeting of IIM, which is being organized here at IIT Kanpur. I wish to first thank our chief guest and the guest of honor for taking this time from their busy schedule to grace this occasion with their presence. This event is being organized by the Department of Material Science and Engineering and IIM Kanpur chapter in collaboration with IIM Pune chapters and DMSRD. I take this opportunity to thank the respective office bearers of both these organizers for their assistance that they have lent to us. The support received from Professor Ishwar Prasad, Director DMSRD, and his colleagues is gratefully acknowledged. Now, as we march towards embracing newer thoughts, it is also germane to have the benefit of guidance from our more experienced colleagues. I wish to specially acknowledge the able guidance that we have received from the whole of this IIM fraternity and the functionaries. I wish to specially acknowledge the mentorship that has been provided to us from the former presidents and the vice presidents of IIM. I especially acknowledge the three of the former presidents who are present with us and some of the others who are going to be joining us as this event proceeds. They've always been very we are grateful for their feedbacks and the experiences that they have shared with us from time to time. The event of this magnitude would not be possible without the support from all the units of the institute. Let me first express my gratitude to Professor Indril Manna, Director, IIT Kanpur, who is also the patron for this event, and our Deputy Director, Professor Ajit Chaturvedi, for facilitating the infrastructure resources and logistical resources that were involved. Several other functionaries of our institute, including the deans, the heads of various administrative units, IWD, security, visitors hostel, auditorium, lecture hall complexes, and several more, and their tireless efforts from all of them is very gratefully acknowledged. I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude to our department colleagues and staff members and student volunteers for their tireless effort in bringing this event to the fore and working in a spirit that exemplifies the credo, all for one and one for all. The success of any event hinges on the fiscal support from our sponsors, which is gratefully acknowledged. And last but not the least, it is you as participants, your presence in this event as presenters, exhibitors, and so many other forms is specially well recognized, and I wish to thank you all for being here. It is really a privilege to have you all with us as guests, and we thank you all for your participation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Upadhyay. With this, we come to the close of the inaugural session. I would now request all of you to join us for tea, which is being served on the lawns to your right. The exhibition, which is on the lecture hall complex lawns, will be inaugurated at 11:15, and those interested can join us for the exhibition inauguration on the LHC lawns. At the same time, we'll be having the inaugural session starting at 11:30 a.m. in this very auditorium in the forenoon. In the afternoon, we'll be having the technical sessions which will be organized in the lecture hall complex. All the signages of how to go to lecture hall complex, the exhibition and the metrography and other things is displayed on the roads. I would also take this opportunity to bring to your notice that we should assemble back here at about by 6:40 p.m. for the cultural evening and dinner. Thank you very much.